You were trying to speak English to the English, right?
I was.
Yeah, welcome to my weekly dilemma.
I love it. I love
it. Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, wherever you're listening. As always, I have with the usual crew, Mr. Chris Cutes.
How you doing?
Mr. Joe Whitaker.
You're right, Tom, yeah.
Alan Robinson.
How are you, fellas?
And he's Sounds a Pound land, Mr. Jamie Page.
How you going?
Good stuff. We've got a really super cool, exciting episode tonight, and I'm absolutely stoked. We've got a special guest. But before I dive across the pond and put him in the spotlight, just a few quick shout-outs, as always, from last week. So Bob Rawson, Kelly Headland over on Facebook, The Badger Workshop, Rag Tie, Sharp Edge Woodworking, Jim Dockrell, Bruce Chastain, I hope I got that right, Mark Christopher, Know What Mum Knows, I hope I got the right name right this time, Matt Brander, Ian Hay, The Wilkie Woodshop, and Jason McGinn. So huge thanks to everyone who's been commenting, and you know, it helps us out loads, and it's kind of cool. You can always comment and get in touch with questions, etc. on our social media platforms. So I'm going to dive straight in with our guest this week. I'm going to skip the listener question for now and say a huge thanks for coming on the show, and a big warm welcome to my good friend Laney Shaughnessy. Hello, Laney.
Hey everybody, how are y'all doing today?
Awesome.
There you go.
You're right, Laney, great.
I am.
It's great to see you. Thank you for having me out.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, because I know you are super busy. You're like always busy. You're so busy, you've kind of had to take a back step from your enormous YouTube channel, haven't you? Because for people that don't know, you and I, we go back a fair way in terms of the internet and YouTube and all the rest of it. Do you want to just introduce that briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Richard, we talked about a little earlier before we started recording, you and I met back in the days of Keek, when Keek was becoming kind of popular as far as the woodworking community being able to see behind the scenes of everything and, you know, get little glimpses of inside people's shops. And you and I don't know exactly what part of Keek, you know, how we run across each other, but that's where our friendship really started. And by having that communication, we were actually able to kind of communicate and Q&A and different things, because it was right at the time that you were getting started, and it was a kind of a good platform for us to communicate back and forth quickly, you know, with little show and tell video type things, and it was really nice.
And then because you were always the guy that I could kind of, because like you said, I was just starting out then and kind of putting my head above the parapet, so to speak, and you were already putting videos out. You'd already got a reasonably large following thanks to your involvement with Steve Ramsey at the time,
yes,
weren't you? Because you did a bit of work with him, but you were always the approachable guy that I felt comfortable coming to, and just having, even though we're 6,000 miles apart, we could have a direct face-to-face conversation, one-to-one.
Absolutely, and that's what was phenomenal. And you know, Steve, you mentioned Steve Ramsey. I accredit Steve for all of my success or my popularity or, you know, my growth from the very beginning. And he was my mentor, still is. You know, Steve and I, kind of like you and I, Richard, you know, Steve and I have lost touch over, you know, the recent short period of time because of my schedule and being away from YouTube. Yeah. But in the beginning, you know, Steve was there for me to answer questions. He was the reason, Steve Ramsey was the reason I got involved with making YouTube videos. Watching his videos, I literally called him up on the phone, said, Steve, you don't know who I am. My name is Laney Shaughnessy, and I want to do what you do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and, you know, he and I became friends, and he became my mentor, and you're just giving me tips and tricks. And then, of course, in that earlier time, as my way of saying thank you, I gathered the community together and helped get Steve that table saw.
That's, yeah.
And that little action, that little thank you is what turned around for me, my YouTube channel. When Steve said, hey, look what I got this table saw, and it was a guy named Laney Shaughnessy. Everybody was like, who's Laney Shaughnessy? And I guess they went and looked me up, and my channel started growing. And then hopefully I was putting out decent content over the years, so it continued to grow, because I thank everybody, but he was my mentor. And, so I'm happy to pass that on to everybody that I talked to that asked me questions, because he was so generous with his answers.
Yeah, I mean, I think with that action with you and Steve, and then with you and I, and hopefully to a point myself, and how I help anyone that contacts me, is kind of the foundations of what is the community now. And obviously the community is vastly different and vastly bigger now. But those actions in those early days by yourself and Steve, I think what started that snowball growing as it rolled on.
Absolutely. Remember back in the day, there were YouTubers out there, and they were growing more and more. When I stepped away for a little while to go work with Eureka Zone, when I came back and I looked, the community had, just exploded, and there was all kinds of new content creators, which was phenomenal. I think that being a content creator and giving your knowledge, your experience, or your even non-experience, just how you do things, how you approach your projects, giving that information out to the public is phenomenal. And now there are so many. It's amazing. This community is still, I always supported the community. I think it's one of the most amazing, the woodworking community is the most amazing thing out there, and I think it still is, and it's growing leaps and bounds.
Richard, if I can jump in real quick, Laney, sure. I want to kind of put this in perspective, because you actually started out your YouTube channel back in 2011, I believe, right?
2010.
See, it even goes back further than I thought it was, because you've been around for quite some time, and you were super active for a while. And we talked about this a little bit before we started the recording today. And one of the first videos I remember that you did, we talked about, was that slideshow video you did. And I was reminded of that this past week, because a friend of ours, a friend of the podcast, Steve French, just put out a video about those balancing wine boards. You know what I'm talking about? And those featured rather prominently in your video. And it kind of reminded me of you. I was like, oh my God, I remember Laney did that. And it was like a slideshow video that Laney did like years ago. And then Steve, as soon as I started thinking about that, said, these have been around forever. And I go, yeah, I know. I used to saw Laney do it. Like, I don't know how long ago. But the problem with that was, my wife saw me watching Steve's video, and she had never seen them. And so, I'm now making those. So thank you, Steve. And Laney, I blame you.
Back when I started woodworking, before I started YouTube, I did residential and commercial remodeling. I had a remodeling company, and when the construction industry died, and I started doing custom furniture building, that's a whole different gamut. From rough framing to fine furniture or joinery, or there were no nails and screws, it's all wood. It was a whole new thing. And I really started, before the furniture making, was scroll saw. I discovered the scroll saw. So in that little slideshow, there was a lot of scroll saw projects, along with those balancing wine bottle holders.
No, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
But and then it was a learning curve for me, because I had my great uncle, yes, he got me into woodworking when I was younger, and he was a furniture maker. But being away from it, not doing it, for a long time, jumping from a construction background to woodworking, fine woodworking, machine woodworking, hand tool, whatever the case may be, it's a whole different ball game. And so it was a learning curve. And I thought, what, as I'm learning, I want to teach. And again, Steve Ramsey helped me with that, and it just blossomed from there. My biggest regret is being away from the community for as long as I have been. I'm still out there, and I don't know if you guys see me every once in a while, but I'm still around. I just haven't been as active as I used to be back in the day.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, because when you touched on the teaching side, a lot of your sort of themes to a lot of your videos are long, in-depth, multiple part videos of, with all the steps and all the techniques and all the information in there. So if I want to know how to make an octagonal garden bench, there's probably getting on for about an hour's worth of footage with the one that you did in all the steps, which, you know, is a different beast to kind of the trend on YouTube currently and over the last probably 12 months. I mean, I've started putting out shorter videos, but you stuck kind of with that longer, detailed format, haven't you?
I have, and I actually would continue, you know, as I make like my next videos that are coming out, like I was talking about the cabinet builds and stuff. Same thing, you know, nowadays when I came back and I saw the videos they're all that fast forward motion. There's not that much talk. If there is talk, that sometimes it's a voiceover, but it's just like, you know, building, you know, it's watching someone build, and it's wonderful because you can pick up what they're doing. You know, if you have that little bit of knowledge as to, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that, you know, and you can pause the video. That's a great thing about video. But if you know, with my videos, I used to get flack, too long, too much talk, not enough action. And then when I would make a short video, people loved, they're like, oh, you know what, we like your long videos. We want to learn how to woodwork and all. That's why we look you up. And I would actually stick to that. As I continue to make videos, they will be training videos, teaching the steps, because
so you haven't gone
I think
away.
That's important.
You haven't gone away. Laney Shaughnessy is still around, and Laney is still going to be an active force on YouTube because we've missed you, Laney. I mean, I don't know about anybody else. I mean, I just love your weekly videos, but I just know you've been busy. You've obviously got work to do, and you got to get back out on the road sometime next year, don't you?
January through May, I'll be traveling the central and east coast of the United States, and then I'll be up in Canada in February. So when I go to the woodworking shows, I teach CNC machining, CNC basics, CAD CAM design for beginners, CNC machining fundamentals, and then I do teach an advanced CNC course up there as well. So when I do the show tours, it's mostly revolving around CNC because there are other seminars teaching, you know, wood turning and joinery and things like that. And my seminar is all about the CNC machine.
That seems kind of a natural progression on your YouTube channel, because your channel is the in-depth, it's the teaching. It's not the short, you know, watch somebody for inspiration. It's the watch somebody get the information. And you've then taken that YouTube channel, you know, and it's natural progression to what was Eureka Zone, and then to the digital wood carver, and then onto the show. So you're still teaching, but now you're doing it face to face to an audience as well.
Absolutely. And one of the things I want to start this year is I'm actually going to be teaching courses, and it's going to be in CNC machining, you know, CNC CAD CAM design, you know, Vectric software and things. But I'm actually going to be teaching live classes online, probably like, you know, every other Saturday or something. I'll be teaching a live course that people can register for and things. And that's one of my goals. But teaching is always, you know, I'm not, you know what they say. Well, you know, you guys know what an expert is?
Somebody knows everything about nothing.
No, it's a has-been drip under pressure. X being has-been, spurt being a drip under pressure.
Yeah.
So by far, I'm not an expert in anything, but I do feel that I have something to teach that people can learn something from me, even if it's a small something. And it's my way of giving back to the community. So whether I'm doing YouTube videos or out in the public or online one-on-one, it all revolves around instructing. And that's what my goal is.
Well, it really comes across really, really well for me, Laney. I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to make a finger joint jig for my table saw. I must have went through 30 or 40 videos. And like most people, like we were speaking about earlier, I tend to click on videos that are 6-7 minutes long. Right. Finally, I came across yours, 2 parts, maybe 30, 40 minutes total. But guess what? I finally got it. It finally works. All I had to do is make that adjustable fence.
Right.
It finally made it work for me. So your format really works, and I hope you don't change it.
No, and I know people are going to get. I'll still over the days I'll get flack, and you guys as YouTube content creators, you got your analytics where it shows the views and how they drop off over a certain period of time. Mm-hmm. I monitor those, and I know that within the first 15 minutes, people are starting to fall off. You know, so what I'm going to do is it's going to come down to either there's going to be more parts, or it's going to be just more condensed content, but still relevant information. I don't think I'll ever go to the fast forward, watch me build something kind of genre, which is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Everybody that's doing that, which is most everybody, there's nothing wrong with it. That's absolutely, it's neat. It's awesome to watch. But I want to teach, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense to me. And actually, I can see it from sort of both sides of that argument, for want of a better expression. You do the long video with all the information and the comments come in, bored, too long, and then you put in the short video, and then it's like, well, how did you do this, and what didn't you show that, and why didn't you show that? And you just, whatever you do, you can't win. And at the moment I'm working on a big long project for my other half, and it's taken me about 2 weeks. But what I've decided to do is I'm going to do the full build in that sort of shortened, condensed, speeded up way,
right? And
the small relevant parts, I've got to flush trim some edge banding, and that will be its own little short video just on that. And then there'll be a small part on some other little feature, and
absolutely
with a view to the information is there just about that one small part. And if you want to see the overall build, then you can see the overall build. But having done both videos, and this is the weird thing, if you do a short video, I've noticed you tend to get a longer retention, but your overall view duration drops. So whichever one you do, one is always balanced against the other anyway. So
it is.
What does it matter?
It is, but you've got what you said is kind of key. Now, everybody, if usually people, when they're watching, they know how to make cuts. They know how to slide a board into a rip cut through a table saw. So those parts can be sped up, but edge banding, how to glue edge banding, to a project and all, something, slow down on those key items, those are good learning lessons. But, if it's just repetitive cuts and things like that, those can be sped up, and people will get it. It's like, okay, I need to rip 3 boards that are 3 inches wide, 46 inches long, whatever the case may be. And then, okay, now I want to band these, or I want to put breadboard ends on them. Those are the parts you kind of touch on. And I think that's phenomenal, because they're getting that key information. Where I messed up, but where I messed up was back in the day. I was showing every single cut, and if it was the same, if I had to make 10 pieces, 4 inches by 4 inches, I was showing all 10 cuts. And I get comments saying, "Hey, after the first cut, we got it." We don't, we don't need to see all the cuts. So I started cutting them out, and where, okay, guys, I've got all my 10 pieces here. I learned from my comments. I love commenters, whether they're nasty comments, they're good comments, trolls, what have you. I take it all as constructive criticism, and I learn, and I'll say, you know what, that gives me something to think about for my next video. And over the years, hopefully I got a little better. But now these guys nowadays are doing some phenomenal video work and stuff, and training and things. And I have some catching up to do now.
I absolutely love your attitude.
Everyone has, as Alan's just said, you've got to have that, not resting on your laurels, and that sign of kind of you all over, just always wanting to do better and always wanting to do more and always wanting to progress, which is absolutely just phenomenal. So
it's key. I used to let the comments break my heart. They did, man. They tore me down, and I'm like, oh God, and do I want to do this? But then I thought, you know what? There's a message in there somewhere, whether it's hateful or not. There's something to learn from that. And I learned that some people are just nasty people, but there's a reason. There was some reason, whether they had a bad day or something, and they just wanted to take it out on someone, so I just kind of let it go. But even now, I'd literally be making a video a week if I could do, because I'm doing CNC projects, I'm doing test carvings, and I'm creating models. That's one of the things that I do for digital woodcarver customers. I create custom 3D models and designs. They'll send me a request, to make a model, and I'll make it for them. Not wood, but I'll make the design file, the model file to send to them.
Yeah.
And I always test carve, and if I could kind of convert my channel a little bit, or maybe another channel to CNC work, I'd be out there every week making a video, because I'm on my CNC every day. But I put out a couple of CNC videos, and the comments I got were, "Laney, you might as well get rid of all your other tools. You can no longer call yourself a woodworker," and blah, 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 because, there's still people out there that they don't want to see it. they want traditional woodworking. They want this and that. So it's a fine balance. Whatever I do, it's got to be a fine balance. I don't want to just, I want to be a woodworker, not just a CNC guy, so I'm going to continue teaching woodworking. But what I do on a daily basis, as far as my work and stuff, if I could point that camera to that CNC machine and talk about it and show how to make a design and stuff, shoot, you guys would see a new video every week.
Right. And you could hold everybody's interest in. I just want to kind of give a display of how active you actually are. YouTube has become less of a focus for you because it had to become less of a focus because of the work you did. But you started a contest back in, I think it was 2013.
Yes.
You started the Whirly Gig Wars. You did it in 2013, 2014, 2015. And this year, you handed off to, did you hand that off to Russ Clarity?
I did. Russ took the helm for Whirly Gig Wars 2016. Great guy. He's going to make sure that it stays as fun and active as it was. And because we started late, normally it runs in July 10th through the 23rd, but we actually did it in September because July came and went. This year flew by. This year flew by. And I didn't get a chance to get out to sponsors and get prizes and things like that. And I was almost going to not have 2016. It would have been a skipped year, like a leap year in a sense.
Right.
But Russ come up and said, hey, I'd like the opportunity to keep it going. So we did. I handed it over to him. And we did have some entries. But I think we would have had more entries had we have done it in June when it was normally running. But I think 2017 Whirly Gig Wars is going to be a good it'll continue on the way it was.
Awesome. Well, I brought that up only to kind of display how busy you are and to let people know that Laney Shaughnessy off camera, Laney isn't just sitting back on his couch, having Coca-Colas and getting fat or eating pizza. He's really freaking busy. And it would have happened this year with you if you were not as busy as you were.
Absolutely. Just to give you a quick brief what I do on a daily basis. Mostly it's I take calls and stuff for Digital Woodcarver. I handle all of their customer service training, their service questions, and their design questions and things like that. And so I'm available to Digital Woodcarver customers 24/7. So I spend 17 hours a day in the shop, and I'm either on the phone. I spend about 10 hours a day on the phone answering questions. And I use a program called TeamViewer, and I connect to the customers and show them how to do their Vectric software, or help them with their design, or maybe their CNC is acting funny. So do a service, troubleshooting. But 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, even if I do get that chance to sleep, I have to jump up. Laney Shaughnessy, how can I help you? They can't hear that tiredness in my voice when I'm on the phone as a customer service. But 24/7, I'm available to them, so I'm on the phone a lot. And then when it's design stuff that I'm doing, I'm actually running prototypes of the design and samples and stuff. And I actually sell those at the craft shows and things to make a little money. But that's what I do all day long. And then, of course, January through May, I'm on the road and I travel.
See, I'm going to jump on that now, Laney, because you said you're in the shop for 17 hours a day.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, and that's
5 hours.
off.
That leaves 5 hours for eat, sleep, and, well, I do eat in the shop, and I drink in the shop, my sodas. But 5 hours.
That, my friend, is slacking off compared to a few years ago, because I can remember Keeks at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Where you were being scared by random wild animals that were just outside the door, which turned out to be a garbage can, I believe.
It was. It scared the hell out of me. It was a garbage can right by the door. I cannot believe you remember that. That was so funny.
That was you reminding me, that was.
Yes.
And then there was another video you put out, I believe, making a Murphy bed.
Yes.
And you took a whole lot of flack over that. Were you going to move it into the shop, and were you going to be sleeping in your shop? Because you were always in your shop. 24 hours a day.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, that Murphy bed was up against the wall that's right in front of me. And I slept on it sometimes. It had I brought a mattress for it and everything. And I slept in the shop. When I was tired, if I was exhausted at the table saw, I'd go crash for, like a power nap and then get up and do it again, man. And now tell you that so you know a little bit about my personal life. I'm single. I've never been married. I do have a daughter, a 17-year-old daughter. But I don't have a girlfriend. I haven't had a girlfriend for a long time because no woman would put up with my schedule. I am literally in this shop. I live in this shop. I'll go in the house. I'll cook a meal. I put that meal on the plate. I come back out to the shop with a little bit of sawdust with my gravy's not too bad. You know what I mean? It's but I am out here. Whether I'm doing a CNC project or answering a phone, doing customer service calls, I am in my shop. I do have an office inside too every once in a while when I want a different scenery, but
we need to hook you up, Laney. All right, so all you lady woodworkers that love that, Laney's like, no.
I got a crush on Rebecca DeGroot. If that means I'm just kidding.
Hey, Rebecca, Laney Shaughnessy, there's a match, right?
You
Look at
heard
it
it here first.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I went. We were at IWF. Rebecca was demonstrating over there, and I walked up to introduce myself to her. And I thought because, I think I've chatted with her on Facebook, not chatted, but, like Facebook posts and stuff like that. She had no clue who I was. I walked up to introduce myself to her and she goes, "Hi, nice to meet you. Who are you?" And I was like heartbroken.
Walked in with all this confidence thinking she'd go, "Oh, lady." No, yeah, it didn't happen. Oh.
On the subject of women, you made a Valentine's coasters from Sportive Maple. And in that video, you said the reason that you made them coasters was that you didn't know how to make a bandsaw box. Have you learned how to do that yet?
I do know how to make a bandsaw box now. Absolutely, yes. And I have a bandsaw to do it on. But yes, I do know how to make a bandsaw box. But believe it or not, it's not as difficult as I was making it out to be. But it was when I made the coaster set. It was kind of like a practice session for me, and but after that I did make a couple of bandsaw boxes.
Very, very
I
similar
cannot believe you guys remember this stuff. I mean, it's like it's funny. I'm looking forward to things getting thrown back at me that I have long forgotten that I've said.
Lady, you're talking to 5 fanboys right here. Okay, we're all Laney Shaughnessy fanboys. That's why we wanted to have you on the show.
Well, that make you guys, y'all give me so much credit, and I think you don't understand how grateful I am that really means a lot. It really does. But I'm just a country boy from Ocala, Florida, but I thank you. I really do. That really, you don't give me so much credit, but thank you so much for saying that. That's funny. And I'm fans of all of you guys, and Richard, like I said, you're one of my best friends, and I think Alan and we're just meeting for the first time tonight. And I don't, JP, have we ever interacted?
I edited a picture of you. You was one of the first persons I ever edited a picture of. I think you was in a live hangout with Nick Ferry once, and your face was all blue.
Yes, you were the one that did that. That is out there still somewhere.
From Avatar.
Avatar, that's right. There is a Laney Shaughnessy blue Avatar photo. I don't know if it's on Facebook or something, but it's still out there. Yeah. And oh my gosh, you don't know how scary that looked. It kind of looked girly in the face. I thought, I need to masculine up or something. You didn't do me any justice.
My editing skills have got a hell of a lot better since then.
And it's funny. I think the first time I actually interacted with you, Laney, was back when, and I don't remember if you remember, you did a hangout. I don't remember if it was live on YouTube or what the deal was, but you were laying tile in your kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the first time I think you and I talked. And then I met you in Atlanta when we did Atlanta last year.
Absolutely. And, I still get comments. I still get emails going, "Hey, are you ever going to show that finished tiled floor?" Because I'm kind of bad about that in some ways with those live. I haven't done a live one in forever, but I didn't follow up. I was like talking and answering questions. I don't know how many people watched or whatever are interested in listening to me tile or watch me tile and stuff, but I never followed up and showed the finished project, so I'm going to have to do that.
Someday, yeah. Mop the floor before you do, that's all.
You spend so much time in your workshop when you're at home and everything like that, so how do you kind of scratch that itch when you're away on the road, travelling to the woodworking shows? Do you get the maker bug still of wanting to get back and making things when you're just demonstrating to people? Or
Oh, no, I love the shows. I don't really get it. I get an itch for being back home. But no, at the shows, with the seminars that I'm teaching, it's right at my wheelhouse, because when my seminars aren't going on, I'm at the booth running the CNC, and so I'm carving, I'm making stuff all day long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, from 9 in the morning till 6 at night, when the show ends. So no, it's fine. It's fine. And it's a different scenery. I love being able to see new places and meet new people. I love meeting the people. And it's amazing when people come up and ask for my photograph with them and things like that. I get a kick out of that because I'm just me, you know what I mean? But I love it to death, and I love meeting everybody. And but no, the only itch I have is just, it's exhausting. I fly to most of the shows. Some of them I drive to, but you got to think about this. If it's Thursday through Sunday that I'm at the shows, by the time I get home, I have Monday, Tuesday that I am at home. And then Wednesday night, I'm flying out again to be back there Thursday. So for that January through May, I'm only home 2 days a week. If I do get a chance to get home. If I'm driving, I don't get a chance to get home. So I get that itch for being home.
Laney, I hate to put you on the spot because I'm sure you probably don't have a piece of paper in front of you at hand, but do you have any idea what the schedule is of the woodworking shows for next year? Or is there a place that we can go to find that out?
Absolutely. For the schedule, thewoodworkingshows.com, www.thewoodworkingshows.com. When you go to the website, it's under the shows menu. Our first show is Baltimore, January 6th through the 8th. And then after that, we are in West Springfield, Mass, I think. But I don't have it in front of me. But if you go to thewoodworkingshows.com, it's got this. I know about Baltimore because that's the one I'm preparing for right now. But the schedule is right there on the Woodworking Shows website, and it's live and active now. And also, they can go and order tickets. Like if they're going to a show, they can get their tickets $10 online, $12 at the gate, kind of deal. If they want to take the advanced CNC course with me, they can buy their tickets there. The rest of I teach 3 courses that are free. It's part of the admission, that $10. But there's one course on Saturday that's a paid course that if they wanted to participate in, they could get their tickets online.
Laney, when you're in Ontario, you can expect a very small Canadian with a very big beard and a very big camera to be following you around, because I will be there.
That's fine, bro. I look forward to it. I'm sorry I missed you at the Woodstock show.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed you, and I'll have Wes Hamstra in tow, too. We're both really excited about it.
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to it. I didn't know if we were going to get a chance to get back there in February. I was invited, but it almost conflicted with the woodworking show. But it happens to be the same weekend that the woodworking show does not have a show going on. So it's phenomenal. So it gave me a chance to go up there.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't realize they were doing a second one. So that's just awesome. I'm really excited about it now.
And I'm sorry that I was trying to look it up and I didn't get a chance to look it up. But I don't know what town it is. I know the Woodstock Woodworking Shows is where we were, Woodstock, Ontario. But the other one, it's kind of nearby. It's not far away, but I don't remember the name off the top of my head. And I will.
You just gave us the info we need, and I'll be looking it up right after the show.
Yeah.
As long as it's in Southern Ontario, I'll be there. No, nothing's far from here, really.
Yeah. Just look for Woodworking Shows, Canada Woodworking Shows, and you'll see the next one coming up in February.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm going to hit you up for information regarding March 29th through April 12th.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be traveling about 6,000 miles to Orlando with my other half and her offspring. And I'm going to take a day out and I'm going to come around your house and I'm going to raid your workshop and I'm going to come home with Laney presents. Oh, I've just given the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
So whether you're there or not.
So you're thinking about you? No, that's great. I'd love, but I don't want you coming a whole hour out of your way from your vacation just to come to my little old shop. Now, I'll come to you, but if you want to come to my shop, that's awesome. I would love to have you in my shop.
No, he just said he was going to come whether you're there or not. So I don't think.
Oh, that's fine. I'll make sure I have some projects laid out for you to.
Did he say little shop?
You may want to lock up the garden hose because Rich is going to come steal it. He wants.
We're good. Come on out to the shop. I'll have some presents for you and everything.
Wow, it's funny you should say presents, and people at home aren't going to see this, but I'm half expecting you to blush because I have here. Do you remember this?
Yes.
There's videos on this where you made, I'm not sure whether it was this one you made or whether it was, because you made 3 of these, didn't you? And then you posted them up. I'm holding a carver's mallet that Laney turned. It was one of your first projects, I believe.
On my lathe, yes, it was.
Yeah. And it still takes pride of place next to my lathe.
Yep. You know who's going to be jealous about that is Ron Brizzadine. He won a Keek contest where he won a mallet. And that was years ago. You know how long ago Keek was?
Yeah.
When I made his mallet, it split. The wood split. And so I was going to make another one. Been promising him for 3 years to get it. He came to one of the woodworking shows and said, "Hey, I came to get my mallet." I'm like, "I'll send it to you in December." Never did. So that's one of the things I've got to make for him. I've got to turn another one of those because he never got his mallet. So he's going to be jealous that you got yours all the way in England and he lives in
just up the road.
It sounded like a bit of an evil laugh.
It's becoming an ongoing joke. He's made a video where he had to do a project and he put out a picture of this little mallet that he kind of made, ramshackled together himself. He said, in the little post said, "I got tired of waiting on Laney Shaughnessy, so I had to make my own." So it's been a running joke, even though it's one of these days I have to fulfill that before the man.
You have a 3/4 inch dowel stuck inside of a 2x4.
But that's awesome that you still have that, Richard.
I still have it and I still use it. In fact, I used it the other day.
Wow.
All these,
so that means it's holding up. I did okay when I made it, right?
Yeah, well, it's got a bit of a dink in it where I actually used it and hit something. But we could turn that.
Now we're going to be critical. Yeah, I still have it. It's got a bit of a dink in it, though.
Better send him another one.
Obviously, you've got a very busy schedule, and you obviously like to keep busy.
Love it.
So I guess what I want to know is boxers or briefs.
Oh, here we go.
You knew that would happen.
Oh, I knew that was coming. I
am a what do you call the sports boxer briefs? It's kind of like the boxer, but they're actually like the briefs that come down the leg a little bit, and
it's the in-betweens.
Yeah,
exactly. He wants you to say commando, Laney.
Yeah.
Oh.
No,
let me tell you something. As much sawdust that's floating
in a
around
Superman
in this room,
vest.
Commando's not a good idea in the shop.
And if you're not wearing button-fly jeans, zippers become very scary. So, Laney, let me ask you a question. What do you got planned for the future? Because I know you're. I mean, the intention is that you want to get back in. You want to get a little bit more active. Where are you going from here?
Well, knock on wood, and I want to thank all the community that's watching or that may watch this video in the future for continuing, even though I haven't been active, for continuing to support me and watch my channel and subscribe and stuff. My channel is still growing, and I feel that I have an obligation to that audience to, I put out a spline, like a little shop project a couple month or so back, not too long ago. Well, as far as weekly videos, yes, it was a long time ago. But my goal for the future and what my plans are is, one, I do want to start teaching the online courses, the live online courses. But as far as YouTube goes, is I want to get back into more active content creation. Whether I create a sub channel, you know how some people will have a blog channel where they talk and then they got their video channel. I might do something like that, like a live Q&A blog channel, but I definitely want a channel that kind of showcases some of the teachings of CNC, even though not everybody has a CNC and not everybody can afford a CNC and all of that thing. All of those considerations have to be taken into play, but there is a place for those educational videos out there. And I'd like to include that without getting too much flack, whether I have to create a second channel or not in my future. Getting that content out. But I do want to get back to making my projects, whether it's small crafts or furniture pieces. I have 91,000 something subscribers right now. And I owe it to that audience for them to stay subscribed to me. I owe it to them to produce. So my future goal is to find that balance to where, when I'm not traveling, which I only travel through those months, those January through March or May, whatever it is. But when I'm not traveling, I just brought on somebody else to help with phone calls, those phone calls that are keeping me tied up during the day, so that I can start filming project videos and stuff, because I owe it to my audience or viewers, not my audience, but the community, to get back into it. So that's what my goal is in the immediate future, to figure out the game plan, whether I have to go without any sleep. Now, don't work at your table saws and stuff exhausted, guys. Bad babe. But I owe it to them to make some videos. So that's what my goal is to kind of get more involved. I don't know if I want to find that fine balance of woodworking projects, shop projects, CNC projects, and it make where my channel is kind of well-rounded, and people, like, hey, this guy does a little bit of everything. The only thing that I'd be lacking is the metalworking. I love these guys that are getting metalworking and welding involved in their stuff. I wish I knew how to do that.
I wonder if you and I don't know what your personal work schedule is when you're doing these woodworking shows. And I'm sure you're probably busy, but has it ever occurred to you to bring a camera with you and actually walk around the floor? And because you are surrounded by a wealth of knowledge for people that are there at these woodworking shows that have their own booths and things of that nature. Have you ever thought about maybe doing interviews with those guys and maybe tapping into what they know?
Yes, and I can't. I'm actually working a booth.
Okay.
I work at a booth at the show. I'm just like one of the vendors for Digital Woodcarver. So when I'm not teaching my classes, I'm at the booth exhibiting and answering questions and selling the machines and things.
So you don't have the time to go do that because you're working for somebody else at that point in time, right? Okay.
I don't, but a couple of shows I do have Burl Tishner, the owner. He's with me. We got his brothers joined the company, and his brother's going to be at some of the shows. So there's going to be two of us working the booth. So it will allow me time to get away. I love walking around. I actually did. I shot some footage. I have actually footage of the woodworking shows, of like the turning classes and things like that, because you're right. There is a wealth of knowledge in doing interviews and stuff. That would be something to include this year. And I now will have someone else at the booth that will allow me that brief moment to do a walk around and stuff. But I wouldn't be able to spend all day, because I do have to be. My main goal, the only reason, Digital Woodcarver, God bless them, they pay my expenses to go to the show to work their booth. So
Understood.
I have to fulfill that obligation.
Understood. I didn't know if you had any leeway time to go out and do that, because I thought it would be a good way for you to continue to getting content out, even though you're on the road. I take my camera everywhere I go, and you wouldn't believe how much footage I have of just random junk that if I ever sat down and edited it. Like I just went to Niagara Falls when I was on my way back from Canada. I stopped by Niagara Falls for the first time I ever saw it. That was neat. So I videoed that whole experience. That would be for the blog part of the channel, the non-woodworking related stuff. But no, answer your question in short, I want to have a well-rounded channel. I want to be back active. It could be every other week, may not be every weekly, but something that there's more content than what's going out now. Because I owe it to the community to do so if they're going to continue to support me.
I think anyone who doesn't support you has got to be either missing a trick or completely off their rocker, to be perfectly honest. From even back in the day when you were a video a week and the content that you were pumping into the community and for the public, you've already given so very much to everyone. So,
well, thank you. Now, speaking of missing a trick or what have you, I love your. Do you remember the conversation we had at Geek where I was learning your slang, and you wrote me a post, and I actually replied back, and you're like, "Hey, not too bad."
I can't remember the exact sort of.
No,
script,
but
I remember the
you
tone
used a certain slang about taking a nap or sleeping or something or what have you. You were going to take a nap or something, but the way you said it, and I said. I looked it up and I said, how do I reply back to this in his terms? I was trying to impress you, Richard. I was like, I got to impress this guy.
You were trying to speak
like me.
You were trying to speak English to the English, right?
I was.
Yeah.
I love their.
Yeah. Welcome to my weekly dilemma.
I love it. Because right now I'm already thinking about how I can steal the term missing a trick and use it in an everyday conversation.
I'm really loathed to kind of wrap this up because I just don't want to, but I'm really conscious that we've been about 45 minutes now, I think. I've completely lost track of time if I'm blatantly obvious. But we've actually got, and I think you're going to be able to help out with this as well, Laney, whilst you're here, because let's tap into your noggin and get some information out of you as well. During the last week, we actually had a question from one of the listeners, and we always encourage people to hit us up with their questions about some routing. I'll read the question out, and then if you've got anything to chip in, then by all means. And this came from Bob Rawson, who you may even remember from Keek, because Bob at Plodstone
I know Bob.
was
Absolutely.
in fact, I think he was a Whirly Gig Wars winner, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho,
So, yeah.
he says he's routing out a groove in a narrow piece of old oak. To hold it while routing, I'm screwing it down to my bench. This takes time. Ideally, I should use a router table, but I don't have one. Any suggestions for a better method except give up and make a good fire? So he's got some quite narrow and thin strips that he's got to put a groove or a dado in, but he hasn't got a router table.
Believe it or not, now this is stupid. This is kind of unconventional, kind of outside of the box. But rather than screwing your board down and damaging it and everything, get a hot glue gun in your shop and a couple little dabs, press it down, and it will not move. And then when it's done, pop it off, and the glue peels off like dots. That's a out of the box thinking. But there's also a sled. What's the sled that catches up to the side of your workbench?
Like a bench hook.
Bench hook. That, something like that could work as well, depending on, a bench hook with some sandpaper on it, for gripping. The mats that go into your shelf liner, the little grippy kind of rubber mats that people line their cabinet shelves and stuff with, is great for routing. It's a routing pad, is what you would consider, even though it's not what it's intended for, but it holds your piece very well. But hot glue.
Yeah, you just come up with 3 answers faster than I could come up with 1.
And Richard, couldn't you use like a router sled with bushings, depending on the size of the bit? I assume he's using something smaller than a quarter inch, and so you could just use like a router sled, and then line that up 90 degrees to the actually parallel to the what he's looking to cut out, and then clamp that down, and then just run the router right across the top of it, and gradually, if he's got a plunge router, just gradually plunge deeper and deeper as it needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using a guide bush for that, rather than, my initial thought was you'd be using the side fence. But if you could put a piece of board over the top of it, hold that down with either double-sided tape or hot glue, that works as well. And just use the guide bush to run the edge of that. That would do the trick as well. So there's quite a few solutions to that. But I'm a big fan of hot glue, Laney, I have to confess.
Yeah,
it just, people don't trust it, but it is really good stuff.
I agree.
And it grips. It serves its purpose, and you just pop it off, and the glue will peel right off without damaging your material. So hot glue, one of those router mats, bench cookies. If you got a rockler in your area, any of that stuff.
Excellent. There's loads of answers there for Bob and anyone else listening. So hopefully that's food for thought. And obviously, if anyone else out there has got some questions, preferably those questions that don't relate to finishing, because Laney will just say lacquer. Then
Richard.
Now, when it comes to finishing, if you take my preferred finish and you put an S in front of it, that'll tell you my stance and how I am with finishing. I'm a slacker.
Ladies' answer to finding contrasting woods is to buy contrasting woods. Don't do any staining.
I like that. I'm with you on that one, actually, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is easy.
So yeah, if you've got any questions, then you can hit us up on all our social media platforms. There'll be links in the descriptions and show notes and all that kind of good stuff. But what are you up to at the moment, Laney? Because you said you're working on, you do these customer requests and models and things.
Yes.
What have you got anything exciting in the shop at the moment that you can tell us about?
As far as exciting in the shop, hold on, let me grab something. These are customer requests or asking how to make. One of them is currently on my CNC right now. I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, I made a stomp box. Well, an electronics company asked me to make a little stomp foot pedal casing that they can put all their electronics in. So that's what I'm milling up right now. I got a customer request that he hand carves wooden spoons.
Uh-huh.
So he asked if I could model the spoon up to carve, on the CNC. So that's what I'm doing, creating the model to carve the spoon.
But there's so many people out there saying that, CNC is not real woodworking. And there's a guy that makes his living doing it by hand, and he's looking to do exactly that. So, that just goes to prove that it is real woodworking at the end of the day, in my opinion. But, well, what about everyone else? What are you working on at the moment, Jamie?
At the moment, I've not actually posted any pictures of it yet, but I made a little snowman yesterday. I tried using a skew chisel today. Yesterday, sorry, and got a nasty catch. To be honest, it was my own fault because I was so used to using carbides, and I tried going straight in with it, and yeah, it was a mistake. So, but going back to the pen front, which everyone knows a story about.
No, don't bring that up again.
No, it's
The nutty pen.
It's actually good news. It's actually good news. I've actually sold 6 of them.
Oh,
you've good stuff.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
I thought we were going back to the nutty pen.
Sorry. And the nutty pen.
Oh, look, he carries it around with him.
I do.
In his pocket. That's what you're fiddling with.
In a sack.
You started it that time.
Stop playing with your nuts.
I sold 5 blue pens and 1 purple pen. And I've got another 2 purple pens on order.
Fantastic. So you're starting to get through those blanks.
Yep.
Finally. Excellent. Can we expect a video from that? Or
I was thinking about doing one, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think you, Laney, should get back on your lathe and take some inspiration from Jamie's projects.
Yes.
You're going to get those.
Yeah, my lathe doesn't get enough attention. And I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And
I've done the nut pen. Maybe you can make one out of balls.
And you owe somebody a mallet, but we won't bring that up again.
Absolutely. Yes. And now I cheat a little bit because, FYI, little plug, the digital wood carver comes with a 4th axis, which acts like a lathe. So, how can I turn that pin on that 4th axis? No, but yeah, no, I actually enjoy lathe work. I actually tree just fell in the yard last year, and I've been cutting the burls off of it, and I turned in some bowls. I'm not good at bowls yet, so I've been practicing turning bowls on my little mini lathe. So I didn't realize after you kind of rough them out when they're green, you got to let them sit for months before you can finish them. So they're sitting in the dark right now in some wood chips waiting for me to finish them. It's a long process.
Get your camera out, get them on the lathe, and get a project out.
And see, even something like that, a simple lathe project that takes lathe work doesn't take that long. I mean, it does. Don't now, all you people that have lathes, don't send me hate comments for that. But you know what I mean? It's something that I could literally put the camera up and make a tutorial on that. I have no excuse. I'm not. I'm busy. But not every second of the day. You know what I mean? So I got to get out there. Slacker.
But then you've got to edit that, so that's the other time, isn't it? Yes, you can do that. You could probably do the footage in an hour, but then got another couple of hours. You've got to edit, you've got to upload, you've got to do all the back work, you've got to do all the comment answering, and it's not just about the time on the project. Well,
let me ask you guys this as other creators. Have you ever shot a project and you got a lot of footage? Like, for instance, I shot about 4 hours of footage of something that was only going to be narrowed down to maybe a 15-minute video. Do you ever, when you're editing, kind of get sick of hearing yourself talk?
All the time.
Oh my gosh.
Try editing this podcast.
Yeah. I'm like, my voice, I need to make sure my video is very good and very informative, because I can tell if people have to listen to me for 4 hours. See, I can crack up about myself. I know what you guys are thinking and all the comments and stuff like, Jesus, this guy doesn't shut up. Even now, I'm still talking.
That's what we love about you, Laney.
Yeah. Oh my
You,
God.
you can talk all day, mate, because you've got good stuff to say. It's just as simple as that. But,
Awesome.
with that in mind, I'm just about to ask Joe what he's up to.
So, you've been talking about slacking and everything. I'm the best slacker out of all of you. So I've wanted to start my Christmas project this week, but I literally haven't had a chance. I've been sorting out all tickets for my trip to the States and my visa and insurance and everything like that. So I've got it all sorted now. So next week I should be able to get a start on that Christmas project that I talked about in the last podcast. The fake fireplace for a way for Santa to get into the house kind of thing. So I've got to get the materials and everything sorted. But yeah, should be able to crack on with that soon.
Materials, so there's going to be like, I don't know, plasticine and an old library book and a Venetian blind, probably, knowing you.
Yeah, something like that.
And Milliput.
With some milliput, yeah.
Yeah, you got to have that.
Alan, what are you up to, my friend?
I'm up to plenty. This past weekend, I got my project video up. It's, to be honest with you, I didn't know what to call it. It's a wall hanging wall art with LED lights, a wall lamp, whatever. The original video, the title was I hung a cutting board on the wall. I didn't know what to call it. You're going to have to go ahead and watch it, but it does look pretty cool. Right now, off video, I'm working on a series of those. You remember those bathtub shelves I was telling you guys about?
You're making one now?
I'm making 3 of them now. So I've been edge joining up. What are we using? Walnut and white oak, and that's looking pretty cool. And other than that, nothing.
So you're slacking as well?
Oh yeah, I'm always slacking.
For the next 2 weeks, I have got so much work. It is unbelievable. But fortunately, this is all projects that I want to do, not what other people want me to do. So I've got all my Christmas makes to do. I've got a video for 3M to put out. I've got a video on this cabinet that I'm making, which will probably be 2 or 3 videos, the full build and a few other things. There's loads of stuff coming out, and I've got a list as long as your arm for things that I want to do as well, if time permits. So keep an eye out for those. So I'm going to do a big shout out for Bob Blanford, and I know that's a name that's going to ring for a couple of people, including Laney.
Yes.
Some of the
Bob.
pens that Bob puts out. He's another tutorial guy. He's another in-depth information, and some of the crazy things that he does with his pen blanks and the pens that he makes are just absolutely phenomenal. So go and find RJB Woodturner on YouTube. And now I'm going to hand over to Chris.
My shot is what I've been up to since you skipped me. No, I'm just kidding. I've actually been watching. No, that's good. I don't care. It's quite all right. I talked about it last week on the podcast. I'm doing those stupid rustic Christmas trees for my wife. My shout out goes out to Charlie Kasorik. And I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with him with Jack Bench Woodworking. He just put out a video last week on wood veneering made easy. And he explained the process really, really well. And if you've ever done wood veneering or if you haven't done wood veneering and you want to learn how, go check out Charlie Kasorik, Jack Bench Woodworking. He put out a video last week. That's the guy I want to give a shout out to because he did a really nice job on explaining how to actually apply wood veneer and making it easy for you to understand and do.
That's a really good kind of bit of knowledge and tip to have. If you can veneer stuff, you can make amazing looking projects out of.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he explained it really well. So go check that out.
And it's a good way to save the environment as well, because you don't need those big thick boards. How about yourself, Joe?
I'm giving a big shout out to Steve Ramsey. As always, a huge inspiration to everyone in this community. I mean, he's birthed that many makers, but being the Christmas period, he's been putting out regular content as always, and he's had about 4 or 5 videos now out, all with the ideas for Christmas projects. So he's had the Santa's mailbox, he'd done a 3D scroll saw shadow box, which was brilliant. He's got Score 4 game and just put out the Christmas nutcracker on the lathe. So
that nutcracker was insane.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It turned out great. That did. Any Christmas projects, I'm trying to think of some inspiration, check out Steve Ramsey. He's got it all there.
Definitely. I really enjoyed the nutcracker thing, and I know exactly what he meant when he said complicated and time consuming, because all those little turn parts just manic. What about you, Alan? What are you who are you watching? Who are you going to shout for us?
This week, Mary May. Awesome wood carver. As you guys know, I recently inherited a crap ton of wood carving tools, and I've been really working hard at getting them sharpened up and learning how to use them and whatnot. And I came across Mary May's channel, and she's absolutely phenomenal. If you're not watching her, go on over and check her out. There's nothing she cannot teach you. Another one of those tutorial-driven channels, and I think I spent about 9 hours straight watching her the night that I found her. It was about midnight, and before I knew it, the light was up outside.
Awesome. Do you have a conversion rate for a crap ton? Where does that fit between metric and
A crap
imperial
ton actually fits into a router box.
Excellent. Okay, that's
In case anybody's wondering. One of the bigger routers, the next box.
Well, what about you, Jamie? Dare we ask what you're watching at the moment?
Well, just before I give the shout out, I just want to do a quick favour for a friend of the show, Steve Twardell from Temple Boy Turnings. He is now stocking Yorkshire Grit out of Ireland for all the wood turners out there. So if you head over there to Steve, he will. He's stocking that now for everyone. Now onto the shout out. My shout out this week is Dave Foss from Dave Wood Works. He done a mini meat cleaver, which he made about 4 or 5 days ago, and that thing is just amazing. It's it's mini for starters, but he cut all the metal himself. He put a nice wooden handle on it, and it just looks great. And today he also done a Kurt Cobain scroll saw portrait. And he does all his portraits with spiral blades. And every time I see a portrait he does with spiral blades, it just makes me want to try and learn it more and more and more. It's just incredible what he can do with a spiral blade.
I think every time I try and use a spiral blade, it does what it wants rather than what I want.
Yeah, I just can't use spiral blades. I've tried so many times, and they either break or go wherever they want.
I've sort of left Laney till last, and in some ways that was kind of deliberate. It gives you, I don't want you to be just sort of on the hop, as it were, but who do you like to watch on YouTube, Laney, or who have you watched recently that you want to give a shout out to, you think people would get something good from?
Well, if I pronounce his name right, Marius Hornberger.
Yes.
I watched this kid, and I shouldn't say kid, young man, whatever. I'm having marathons of his videos, kind of playing catch up. Love his content. Love the way he approaches it. His knowledge behind it. You know, he really does a lot of homework and things. And I love his little clips at the end where he shows his screw ups and stuff. But definitely a channel to keep an eye on. And I've been finding myself, he's one of the bigger guys out there, but Diresta, his
the Godfather
videos.
Himself.
Yeah, I've been kind of amazed. I'm not trying to do anything that he's doing, because it's just amazing the things. But I'm looking at all the different approaches and stuff. But Marius, he is he's kind of my new little. I'm a kind of a fanboy of him. I'm kind of liking his stuff. Of course, Carl Jacobson and then Robert Blanford, Bob Blanford. Love them guys, as far as turning goes. But that's who I've been watching. And then, but more Marius, a lot of his, I've been playing catch up with his whole library. And
he's got such a good sense of humor as well.
Man, I'm telling you. Absolutely. But a little wealth of knowledge coming out of that kid. It kind of reminds me back, not that he's gone anywhere, but Matthias Wandau, his approach and his look at things. Marius kind of reminds me of that. And then my second guy is Tulify, Chris. I like Chris. He's over in your neck of the woods, Canada, somewhere up there. Alan, I think he's in Canada, but Marius is my go-to guys. That's my recommendation if y'all are sending out recommendations of who to subscribe and watch.
Laney, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on with us, because it's nice to touch base with you again and find out what you've been up to, buddy.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. It should be me thanking you for having me out and still considering me, someone worthy to have on your show, because it's a great show and I've had a blast. So thank you very much, all of you.
I still don't know who he is.
Jamie, you don't know who half of us are.
Excellent. There it goes. That's the Rebecca DeGroot thing. It's all coming back to haunt me again. Who are you?
Getting on for 100,000 subscribers, and you can still move undetected in the community. That's not necessarily all bad. Cool. So where can everyone find you then, Laney, whilst they're hunting straight after the show?
Well, I'm out of Ocala, Florida, so if you ever come in the area, you can find me there. But on Facebook, facebook.com/Laney Shaughnessy or / A Simple Design of Ocala. On Instagram, Twitter, and things like that, it's Wood Jedi, Wood with a little underscore Jedi. Let's see here. Where else am I at? Google Plus is just Laney Shaughnessy. And then YouTube, youtube.com / Laney Shaughnessy.
Chris, have you got your Instagram account ready yet?
Yeah, it's Chris at I don't have one. And you can also find me. I don't have cell service at my house. How am I going to use Instagram? I'm just on Facebook under Make the First Cut. And you can find me on YouTube at Chris Cute.
Excellent. Alan?
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all under The Woodworking Junkie.
Jamie?
You can find me on YouTube at JP Woodwork and Instagram and Twitter at JP_Woodwork.
Joe?
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Average Joe's Joinery, and Instagram, Average Joe's Photography.
Fantastic. So make sure all of you out there, go and find all of us on social media, including this podcast as well. There will all be links out there. I want to say an enormous thank you to Laney for coming along. So thanks, Laney. I've been Rick Morley. You can find me at brainfizz.co.uk and under my name on YouTube. So y'all have a good time, and we'll see you again for the next episode.
Have a great week, everybody.
See you later.
Guys.
See you next week.
Take it easy.
Have a week.
I still don't know who he is.